This is why a lot of generic dieting isn't helpful.
You need to create a calorie deficit.
Mainly just aiming for that fist-sized portion of fruit or veg.
You need a lot more protein than the amount that's just to survive.
It's the variety of fiber that keeps your gut microbiome healthy.
Orange juice and Coke are about equivalent in the amount of sugar that they have.
When alcohol is in your system, it's preferentially burned instead of body fat.
Try and avoid really milky drinks because they're going to add lots of calories.
Hello, and welcome to the Trinity Fit Over 40 podcast. With me, Rob Burkhead.
And me, Ben Hughes. We are the co-founders of Trinity Transformation and creators of the Fit Over 40 method. And together with our world-class team, we have helped more than 7,000 women over 40 to fit back into their favorite clothes over the past decade. To find out more about what we do, go to www.fit40info.com.
So today's episode is the third in a series all about why you're not losing weight around menopause. And today is part 3. All about nutrition.
So we speak to a lot of women in their 40s and 50s who are looking to drop a dress size or two, but are struggling to see any movement with their weight. They are trying all the plans, all the programs which work for them in their 20s and 30s, but then stepping on the scales at the end of the week and seeing zero movement. The good news though is there is a surprisingly quick and easy way to escape from this situation. And it usually comes down to avoiding a few simple mistakes that most people make, which stop them from getting the results they want around menopause. So over the next few podcast episodes, we are going to go through the most common reasons that women struggle to see movement on the scales around menopause. And we will go through our most effective strategies to get the scales moving, drop those couple of dress sizes in the next few months and feel amazing in all your favorite clothes. In today's episode, we are going to talk about nutrition, as this is one of the main reasons that people aren't seeing results around menopause. And often it's not as simple as calories in versus calories out. Even if you get everything else right, if you don't get your nutrition right around menopause, you could still see zero movement on the scales.
First thing I want to touch on then is around what you were just talking about, Ben, which is that kind of calories in versus calories out approach, because I tend to see that backfire a lot for women around menopause. So one of the main reasons people are not seeing results who come to us is because they are starving themselves. They're overly restricting themselves, whether they're cutting out carbs or they're cutting calories really low, like 1,200 or 800 calories a day. And they're effectively doing these things that used to work for them in the past, perimenopause. So sort of maybe in their 20s, in their 30s, especially early 30s. The reason these approaches don't work well around menopause is because the body and hormones are changing. And estrogen helps to regulate cortisol, the main stress hormone. And once you get into perimenopause, so usually from late 30s or early 40s, you cannot regulate cortisol, this stress hormone, so well. And so what tends to happen is if you then overstress the body, which can be from all different sources of stress, whether that's work, family life, but also extreme dieting approaches like really low calories, which your body perceives as a big source of stress, it's a real problem. You can push your stress, your cortisol levels, your stress hormone levels too high. And if these are too high too much of the time, what's called chronically elevated, it will trigger what's called the weight gain triangle, which is 3 additional hormonal side effects which are not desirable and will make it very hard to lose weight around menopause. So this is leptin resistance, which will lead to increased cravings, especially for comfort foods, insulin resistance, which will increase fat storage, especially around the middle, and thyroid deregulation, which will slow down your metabolism. It's the gland that controls your metabolism. All of these things make it much harder to lose weight and much easier to gain it, especially around the middle. And they're a big contributor to that kind of menopausal body shape people struggle with, where they're gaining weight around the middle and they don't know how to lose it. Typically from women over 40, but for women around menopause, whatever stage you're in, basically from perimenopause for the rest of your life, you need to do things differently. You need to stop doing these extreme starvation approaches because they tend to backfire and make things worse, not better. And this is especially true if you're like most of our clients and your life is already stressful. So if you're in a busy job, you're in back-to-back meetings all day, you're managing a big team or managing the whole business or company, there's a lot of pressure already on you. You've also got family responsibilities. You might be caring for aging parents. All of this is increasing your body's internal stress levels. The last thing you want to do, which will push it over the edge, is then starve yourself or do something really restrictive, like cutting out all carbs, which typically will then lead you to starving yourself again. So what you want to do in terms of calorie intake and in terms of the overall nutrition approach, before we get into more specifics, is to kind of hit a sweet spot where you're not having too much, but you're not having too little. We kind of call it the Goldilocks principle. It's not too much, not too little. It's just right. And this is quite tricky, but if you get it right, it will avoid overstressing the body. It will lead to you not having crazy cravings all the time. You won't feel hungry all the time, but you'll still be able to lose 1 to 2 pounds every week, which doesn't sound like a lot, but that's typically 1 to 2 stone every 12 weeks and want to do dress sizes as well every 12 weeks. So you can lose a lot of weight doing this approach without overstressing the body. The way we find the sweet spot for our clients inside of our private coaching is it's based on a lot of information. So we base it on their hormonal situation, so what stage of menopause they're in, or maybe they are post-menopause, their dieting history, their age, their height, their weight, their body fat percentage. We factor in everything, and we continue to tweak it and evolve it as they work with us to keep them seeing results every single week without feeling hungry, without starving themselves, and without triggering that weight gain triangle. And we call that approach hormonally balanced eating. And I appreciate maybe that's a little bit vague if you're listening to this thinking, oh, I don't know where to start with that. But typically it's avoiding 1,200 calories a day, 800 calories a day, avoiding really extreme diets. And one way you could get there is by following all the other nutrition tips we're going to talk about today. And if you follow those, you probably will end up in a pretty good place in terms of how many calories, how much energy you're taking in to be able to lose weight easily and effectively. But it's not just about calories from food, is it, Ben? I think a lot of people just think about this in terms of food. There's other sources of calories where people kind of mess up and stop them seeing results around menopause.
Yeah. So one of the biggest areas where people kind of get this wrong and end up over consuming calories and then either stopping themselves from losing weight or end up gaining a lot of weight is taking in too many calories from what they are drinking. So while it's really key to ensure you don't eat too little or do any starvation dieting, it's also key not to eat too much. And this applies to both eating and drinking. And most people focus on eating less unhealthy food. That's kind of the kind of default approach a lot of people will go to when they think, I need to lose weight. They think, I'm going to start eating healthy. But drinks are one area where it's easy to consume loads of empty calories and loads of sugar in a very short space of time. And it can just put the brakes on your results. So a few examples of this, which will help you kind of understand. So some of the worst offenders are lattes. So we have a lot of clients who they'll have a few coffees throughout the day, maybe because their energy levels are dipping, maybe because they are quite high performers at work and they're kind of using that caffeine to keep their energy levels up throughout the day. But they will go for, a latte, a very milky type coffee, and even a skinny latte is 102 calories. And that will also contain a lot of sugar in there as well. So one a day added up over the course of the week is still like eating 2 extra meals just from having those drinks, which don't really fill you up that much. They're not going to keep you full. They're not going to keep you satisfied. You're probably still going to eat all of the food that you would have eaten anyway. And then these drinks are just going to be more calories on top. And if you have 2 some days, for example, if you work in an office with a coffee machine, you visit that coffee machine a couple of times throughout the day, that entire week's calorie deficit, which is what you need, you need to create a calorie deficit or be slightly under the amount of calories your body needs in order to lose weight. You can wipe that out just by having a couple of coffees a day throughout the work week. And there are even more calorific drinks you can have. So there are things like frappes as well. So if a lot of people go to Starbucks, you have these kind of frappe type drinks, which contain loads of cream, loads of sugar, can be upwards of like 300 or more calories, containing 9 teaspoons of sugar, when the daily RDA or recommended daily allowance for all of the meals you're having is 6 teaspoons. That's kind of the maximum you want to have over every meal. You can go over that just with one drink. And if you were to have one of these type of drinks every day over the week, that will see you gain 2/3 of a pound of body fat every single week. And you can imagine doing that week after week after week after week. That is going to add up to a huge amount of excess weight gained. And people are often, they're not sure where this extra weight is coming from, or why they're gaining this weight. And things like these really calorific and sugary drinks can be sort of the hidden thing that's adding these hidden calories, which is then leading to that weight gain. So other drinks that can be a problem are fizzy drinks. So if you're going for sort of a full sugar fizzy drink, so a can of Coke, Fanta, all of those types of drinks, they'll contain up to sort of 35 grams of sugar, so 7 teaspoons, again, over the recommended daily allowance, and 129 calories. So not only will that push your calories over, but taking in too much sugar, the way your body processes sugar, your body doesn't really, it's not the most useful thing to take in. So it's very likely that taking in lots of excess sugar, it's just going to get stored as body fat. Other things though, which you may think could be healthy, but are potentially not. Orange juice. So 1 300 milliliter glass of orange juice. That's about the same size as a can of Coke. contains 30 grams of sugar. So we're saying orange juice and sugar are about equivalent. Orange juice and Coke, are about equivalent in the amount of sugar that they have and in the amount of calories that they have. You might think, oh, well, isn't orange juice a good source of vitamin C? It does have vitamin C in, but you can get vitamin C from a huge range of different vegetables, which don't come packed with loads of sugar as well. So it's not like you need it. It's not kind of the only source you need to take in. But if you're regularly having drinks like these, so very sugary, very milky coffees, lattes, frappes, fizzy drinks, orange juice, it's very easy to overconsume calories and end up seeing no results in the mirror, even if you're eating relatively well for the meals you're having, and even if you're exercising regularly. And even some drinks which are healthier can also be quite sugary. So kombucha, which is kind of is seen as like a health drink, often can contain 10 plus grams of sugar in a small bottle. And the other thing with sugar is if you do overconsume too much sugar, it's not very good for menopause symptoms as well. It will tend to make your menopause symptoms worse. There's other drinks like San Pellegrino, so the kind of the small cans of sort of a sparkling fruit flavored San Pellegrino. They'll contain 15 grams of sugar and 64 calories. Both of these are going to be better than the first few examples, but can still add up and make it hard to see results and can make menopause symptoms worse. So what you recommend instead is just swapping out calorific drinks for lower calorie alternatives. And specifically, if you're looking for kind of one thing to avoid in what you're drinking, I would say have a look at the nutritional information, look at that sugar amount and choose something which is a bit lower in sugar. So alternatives, the best thing you can drink really is just plain water. So just plain old water. Lots of people find that boring. Personally, I'm completely used to drinking water. I drink loads of water. I love drinking water. It's just, the most basic drink you can have. In terms of hot drinks, rather than milky drinks, if you can go for black coffee or you can go for black tea, those are going to be, less than 5 calories. A cup of black tea is 2 calories. So it's very, very low, and it's not really going to make any difference to your overall calorie intake. Even if you have like a black tea or coffee made with water, and then you just add a dash of milk, that's only going to add 10 to 30 calories. So go for that if you want a milky coffee rather than a latte, which is going to be like 90% milk and 10% coffee. Fizzy drinks, if there's something that you really want to have and you really think you're going to miss, go for the diet version of all of these. Easiest way to check, some things like Diet Coke's very obvious. That's the diet version. Sprite, though, things like Sprite, some of the drinks don't necessarily say that they are a diet version of the thing. But if you just, again, look at the back of the packet, if you look at the sugar and it's very, very low in sugar, then that's fine. That's kind of the main thing to go for. But those diet drinks, which where the sugar's been removed and replaced with sweeteners instead, calorie wise, they're sort of less than 1 calorie. So they're not going to make any difference to your diet in terms of calories. If you don't love the idea of drinking plain water, you can do things like adding lemon to your water or lime just to add a bit of flavor. There are also some quite nice sparkling waters, so flavored sparkling waters that you can get as well. So Lavaux sparkling water, you can get watermelon, raspberry, you can get different flavors. There's also Aqua Libra, so you can get cucumber, raspberry and blackcurrant, blood orange and mango flavors. All are, a lot of these different drinks you can get, they're kind of 1 calorie and 0 grams of sugar. So yesterday as well, just an example, I was at the airport and I wanted a drink. I wanted something that wasn't just water. So I just had like a low calorie, I don't know what you call it. What do you call it? Slimline tonic. That's it. Slimline tonic, ice cubes, bit of lemon, lime, that kind of thing. I just had that. And that was fine. But yeah. And all the other alternative is just drink plain water. But the key thing I would say for what you are drinking is hot drinks. Try and avoid really milky drinks because they're going to add loads of calories. Cold drinks, have a look at the drink. Try and avoid ones which have got loads of sugar in. As long as you do those 2 things, that's really going to help you avoid those extra empty calories that you can get from your drinks.
If you're fed up with trying everything and seeing no results,
watching your weight creeping up and struggling to fit into your clothes,
and you're looking for the fastest and easiest way to get your ideal weight
and never have to worry about your weight or health again,
you can save yourself years of trial and error by letting us take care of the hard work for you in our Fit Over 40 private coaching program.
Over the past decade, our world-class team have personally guided more than 7,000 women to take back control of their health and confidence, and more importantly, maintain those results for life.
If you're ready to finally get results at last and find out how we can help you do that too, click the link in the description below to get the full details now. And talking of that, Slimline tonic on its own. This brings me on to alcohol, which is another really important topic, which often people don't think about when we talk about nutrition, but it's where people fall down. We have a lot of clients who have very busy, stressful lives, and they fall back on alcohol as a kind of pick-me-up or to kind of de-stress at the end of the day or the end of the week. But it can be really problematic when it comes to weight loss around menopause. And again, it may have been something in your 30s, in your 20s. You could get away with having quite a few drinks. You could live fast, play hard, work hard, play hard. That's what I was trying to say. And still say pretty slim and toned. It's not the same around menopause, unfortunately. Your body becomes a lot more sensitive to alcohol around menopause. Alcohol is a toxin. There are no health benefits to alcohol. Ignore the nonsense newspaper articles where they're based on very, very flaky data. And when alcohol is in your system, so when you've had a drink, it's preferentially burned instead of body fat. So if you want to be losing body fat, if you want to lose that menopause belly, if you want to be slimmer, less wobbly, more toned, alcohol is not going to be your friend. And it's not just because it's preferentially burned, it's also because it contains a lot of hidden calories. And if your body has too many calories coming in, doesn't matter where from, it has to store the excess as body fat. So for example, if you have a glass of wine, it's 200 to 215 calories per large glass of wine. And let's face it, if you're having it at home, it's always going to be a large glass. It's not that big. It's still a relatively small amount. A bottle is at least 600 calories. That's more than a whole extra meal. If you have a couple of bottles a week, that's like eating 2 big meals extra a week that would really fill you up in a meal, but don't fill you up at all in terms of the alcohol. In fact, the alcohol increases appetite and suppresses inhibitions. So what we see with a lot of clients is if they were drinking a lot before, they tended to then start snacking, eating less well, wake up with a hangover, or just feeling a bit groggy and tired. And it really affects sleep as well, which is something that's very precious around menopause, very easily disturbed. And if you sleep badly, you will massively disrupt your hunger hormones. And I'm experiencing this at the moment. I have a 4-week-old baby, and on a good night, I may get 6 hours sleep broken up through the night. It's a bad night, might be 3. And I am craving food all day. I am really hungry all the time, more than I've ever been before in my life. And that is, as a result, there's a lot of data to show. For example, in Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker, people eat 300 calories more per meal when they are sleeping 5 versus 8 hours a night. So if your sleep isn't great around menopause, alcohol is going to make that a whole lot worse. So it's the extra calories, it's the effect on sleep, it's the effect on appetite and inhibitions, and it's the fact it's burned preferentially instead of body fat. So it's really not something you want to have too much of. If you want to be lean and toned, you want to look and feel your best around menopause. And if I haven't said it already, it will disrupt menopause symptoms like crazy as well. It will make your menopause symptoms so much worse. So alcohol will lead to more hot flushes, more broken sleep, more night sweats, more fatigue, all the things that don't make you feel great. Now, I'm not going to be a total party pooper though. You don't have to completely cut alcohol out, or a lot of the time we're having those drinks just because we want something that feels like a treat after a really tough day, a really tough week. Again, you might be caring for aging parents, which is draining and exhausting, and raising children, which is draining and exhausting, and working flat out, trying to do your best at work, all of which is very draining and exhausting. And you just want something for you at the end of the week. And I get that. So you don't necessarily have to cut it out completely. And I think this is where people fall down a lot with all the stuff we're talking about today, is they think, well, I just won't have that anymore. No carbs, no fun, no alcohol. And that tends to backfire because you can't keep that up. So instead, what we try and help our clients do is to switch to just better alternatives. So for example, you could have a single diet gin and tonic. That's 50 calories and a lot less sugar than if you had a glass of wine or a cocktail like a mojito. It's 200 calories and it's 30 grams of sugar. So more than your RDA in one cocktail. That's most cocktails. Single diet gin and tonic, you can get nice flavors. I love a gin and tonic. It's 50 calories if it's a diet. And you could have 4 of those before you even had the same as one glass of wine. There's loads of other good options as well. So on Saturday, I was doing a suit fitting for a friend's wedding and we went out for a drink after. I was driving. So I got a 0% beer, a Moretti, but there's loads out there, Heineken, Peroni. It's 20 calories versus 122 for the alcoholic one. And it won't have all those other complications of alcohol disrupting menopause symptoms. And with all of this, the mindset you want to have is these little savings don't sound like a lot. 100 calories saved here, 150 saved there. but throughout the week, they add up to a lot. It's the difference between either being stuck or gaining weight steadily and losing weight. So it's possible to still enjoy yourself. It's possible to still have alcohol without completely sabotaging your results. You just need to make better choices. And we help all our clients to find this better balance. And it's different for everyone, which is why we work with everyone one-to-one. We get to know them very, very well. They have the same coach throughout because everyone has different challenges. Some people it's alcohol, some people it's sugary treats, chocolate, some people it's both. And we would try and work out how to fit all of this stuff in around a busy work schedule, around travel, whatever it may be. And your unique solution will be different for you. But if you can take one or two things from this today and put them into action, it should really help. So that's kind of covering the drinks thing, which we've done for quite a while. What other things nutritionally, Ben, do you see people kind of getting wrong and that keeps them stuck around menopause?
There's three kind of main nutrients you can take in from food. So, all food contains calories, and simplifying things, that's going to be broken down. There will either be carbs, there will be fats, or there will be protein. They're kind of the main three macronutrients, they are called. The one that I think most people get wrong is not getting enough protein. So the recommended daily allowance for protein is 45 grams in the UK. If you're taking in 45 grams of protein per day, it's basically just enough to survive. It's like just enough to kind of keep your body ticking over, but it's certainly not enough for you to thrive. If you eat this amount, you will steadily lose muscle. You will struggle with cravings. You'll not feel full and satisfied. And this is especially a problem around menopause. So a better protein allowance would roughly be 1 gram per pound of lean body mass. Basically your body mass, your total body mass minus the mass of your body fat. So if you weigh, just to keep this simple, weigh 100 kilos and you've got 30 grams of body fat, then your lean body mass would be 70 kilos. So the mass of your body without the body fat. The thing with protein as well is your body, the recommended daily allowance is just kind of a general amount for everyone, but your body, as you get older, becomes less efficient, and you need to take in more protein in order for your body's not going to be able to use the protein you take in as efficiently. So therefore you need to put more in to get the same result. The other thing as well is that recommended daily allowance, which is just to kind of survive. If you want to be toned, if you want to be leaned, if you want to have a low body fat percentage, you want to be strong, you want to be fit and healthy, you need a lot more protein than the amount that's just to survive. So by upping that protein allowance, you basically give your body the fuel that it needs to achieve your goals, the fuel that it needs to build muscle, to get stronger. You're giving yourself the nutrition which is going to keep you full, reduce cravings, and make it much, much easier for you to achieve your goals. So the benefits of protein are, it helps to retain muscle mass. So when you take in protein, your body will maintain your muscle mass, meaning you feel firm, you feel toned, you feel youthful. People often worry, if I eat loads of protein, am I going to gain loads of muscle? Am I going to get really bulky and that kind of thing? You absolutely won't. It's just not going to happen. It's just basically you're just going to get thinner. You're going to get more toned. You're going to get more shape to your body. You're going to get smaller. Your dress size will go down. As you will gain muscle, you will get stronger, but you will get smaller, slimmer, and more toned. Protein is also quite difficult to digest. So 30% of the calories you take in from protein are used in digesting that protein. Therefore, you take in less calories from protein compared to carbs and fats. So if you take in 100 calories from protein, 30 of those calories are used for digestion. So actually only 70 calories are taken into your body from that 100 grams of protein. The other, and probably one of the biggest benefits of protein, is it keeps you feeling full for much, much longer. So it digests very slowly, and it triggers the release of a hormone called peptide YY, which basically makes you feel full. So if you eat meals which are high in protein, you literally won't crave foods in between meals. You won't feel hungry in between your meals. You will be full from breakfast. In between breakfast and lunch, you will stay full. And in between lunch and dinner, you will stay full. And you won't be picking at extra little bits of food throughout the course of the day. So we set a target for all of our clients inside our Fit Over 40 coaching program. And by hitting that target, our clients not only see better results in terms of losing weight and having reduced cravings, but they also get a lot stronger, a lot more toned, meaning that they're able to do all the things they want to do. They're able to keep up with their kids, keep up with their grandkids. They never feel held back from doing anything that they want to do, whilst at the same time, they're achieving their weight loss goals and they're just ultimately just feeling their best. So I would say if there's one thing that you focus on in terms of what should you be eating more of, that would be making sure you're taking in enough protein.
Shortly after that, the next thing I would be thinking about is fiber. So protein and fiber are two of the things we always encourage clients to eat more of. A lot of dieting is always about having less, and people tend to end up taking out the things that are best for them. So this is why a lot of generic dieting isn't helpful. So fiber is a bit similar to protein in some ways, in that it helps you to feel really full. But the modern diet and dieting, as I said, tends to lead to people having less and less fiber. And a lot of the time, people also end up eating processed foods, even if they look like they're labeled as healthy and they've got maybe even have protein written on them. Often they don't necessarily have much fiber in. And a lot of dieting meals are low in fiber. So things like the classic is like in winter, people have soup, not a lot of fiber in soup, or they have salad, maybe just lettuce, which is actually quite low in fiber. It's not a particularly fibrous vegetable. And the reason this really matters is because fiber serves so many functions in your body that are really, really important. So firstly, it keeps you regular, which sounds really, really basic, but you should be going to the loo every single day, about the same time every day. If you're not, that's a sign you're not getting enough fiber or not enough water, one of the two. But fiber also slows down your digestion. So it kind of means you steadily get this release of energy throughout the day, so you don't get big energy spikes and crashes, and it slows down your blood sugar release, which really protects you against a lot of menopausal symptoms like hot flushes, like brain fog, and again, like energy crashes. And it also means it keeps you full for hours, so you're not going to have really bad cravings. So on top of protein, if you get protein and fiber, you're really setting yourself up, kind of like the Shreddies advert that always used to say keeps hunger full till lunch, but actually that's nonsense because it's pretty processed and not high in protein, and the fiber's been added in an artificial way, so it's not as good. If you actually eat a proper meal that's high in protein and fiber, you will keep hunger at bay until the next meal, which makes all the difference, because most people overeat between meals. They don't overeat in meals, in my experience. And then the last thing fiber does, it feeds your good gut bacteria. So to keep it on a really simple level, because we've done a whole podcast on this, it will keep your gut microbiome healthy. And if you have a healthy gut microbiome, you'll have improved mood, you'll have improved mental health, you'll have better energy, you'll have reduced cravings, all of which just lead to much faster, easier results and make it much easier to keep the weight off. Now, how do you get enough fiber in practice? Well, the simplest way is to think I want to have a variety of colourful fruit and veg with every meal. Ideally start with veg, and if you can't get veg, then turn to fruit. And typically it's about a fist-sized portion of veg with every meal, minimum. So that could be broccoli and carrots. We often just throw stuff in. It could be a stir fry where you've bought a pack of stir fry veg and you just throw that in. That's a really good way of getting lots in. But mainly it's just aiming for that fist-sized portion of fruit or veg. And if you've not had any veg in that meal, have some fruit afterwards. It could be an apple. You ideally want to eat the skin because that's where most of the fiber is. Also, you kind of want to aim, this is a trendy thing now, but for about 30 different plants in a week, because it's the variety of fiber that keeps your gut microbiome healthy and protects all those things we talked about earlier, from mental health to energy levels and everything in between. So that can be nuts, seeds, herbs, spices. Just try and have a variety of things. If you're just eating the same thing every day that's beige, you're not going to get that. And that will take care of your fiber plus your good gut bacteria. And even things like coffee counts because that's from a bean. So just to wrap this up then, those are the kind of the 5 biggest mistakes we see people making and the solution. So number 1, being too restrictive and starving yourself, too low calories. Number 2, calorific drinks. So consuming too many calories from drinks. Number 3, from alcohol, which I know is a drink, but it's kind of its own category, having too much alcohol. 4, not getting enough protein. And number 5, not getting enough fiber. If you get those things right, do that in a way that works with your changing body and hormones, it is possible to see fantastic results even around menopause. So Ben, I think you've got an example here of a client who did just that. So why don't you share with the listeners what could be achieved if you do the things we talked about today?
This is our client Louise, who is 46 and perimenopausal. And she told us, she said, I needed to refocus as I'd lost my ability to control my eating habits and my weight was spiraling upwards. I'd tried Weight Watchers, Slimming World and keto in the past, but since turning 40, nothing seems to work like it used to. Since joining Trinity 12 weeks ago, I've lost a dress size, lost 18 pounds, almost 1.5 stone, fit into loads of clothes in my wardrobe. I've regained control of my diet, exercise and mindset. Well, regained control of my life to become a much happier, balanced person. My cravings for Raiding the cupboards on a nighttime have vanished. I am eating carbohydrates and feeling full without feeling guilty. I am able to wear some of my favorite clothes that were just hung in my wardrobe as they were too small once again. I'm intrigued and excited to find out where the next 3 months will take me. And if you want to, hang on. That's the end of Louise's testimonial. One thing I wanted to touch in that testimonial as well is she said she's eating carbohydrates and feeling full. I would say that's going to be, as we talked about in the podcast, the fact that we also got her eating loads and loads of protein with those carbohydrates. So she hasn't had to run away from the carbohydrates, but she's able to eat all the food she wants and feel full and satisfied. But overall, she's seen amazing results in quite a short space of time, 12 weeks. So, if you're thinking that you want to drop a dress size like Louise did, and you want to lose a couple of stone, you want to do that before summer, it's 100% possible to do that within the next few months and be in amazing shape by the time you get to summer. And if you want to find out more about Fit Over 40, the program that Louise followed, and you want to find out about our private coaching that Louise and thousands of other women have used to achieve amazing results around menopause, just head over to www.fit40info.com and you can get all of the details on that page.
That just about wraps up for today's podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll catch you next time for another episode. It'll be the next one in this series, and we look forward to seeing you then.
Imagine living in a home that you've cherished for years.
You've done your best to keep it in good condition,
But no matter how much you clean, paint, or repair,
the problems keep piling up.
the cracks are showing, the roof is leaking, and it feels like everything is getting worse despite your best efforts.
For many women, losing weight around menopause feels just like that.
You've tried diets, workouts, and advice,
But the results don't come and the frustration keeps growing.
that's where our Fit Over 40 private coaching program comes in.
Think of us as your expert renovation team.
We know exactly how to fix the root issues, rebuild your confidence, and create lasting results, just like restoring a home to its best condition.
If you're ready to finally see results that last, click the link in the description below now. Let us help you restore the body and the life you deserve.